Hello, once again. This is K-roc, the Truth Hammer, looking to speak to you about our monetary system and our political system. All right. What this gets down to ultimately is that there are two constitutional systems which we operate under. There is the original Constitution, which was formed with the founders in the late 1700s, and there is a second Constitution which was formed during the Reconstruction period right after the Civil War. So, let's get into that. Wow, that sounds crazy, that's impossible. Okay, well we have two monetary systems right now. We have the Federal Reserve System. If you take a bill out, you can see on there that it says Federal Reserve Note. That is a private international bank system. All that money, when it's created, is created as a debt. Alternatively, our coins, if you look on them, do not say Federal Reserve, and they also do not say note. A note, like a promissory note, is a loan. It's not created as a debt. So those are the two monetary systems. All right. Kennedy in 1963 created United States notes, which that is a system of money that's outside of the Federal Reserve System. That's why he was assassinated. And during his assassination investigation, there was a banker as part of the Warren Commission. So all this stuff is real. There's two monetary systems, and there are two constitutions. The original Constitution wrongly provided for slavery, and there is an accounting method for representation for slaves. Slaves were regarded wrongly as 3/5 of a person. The southern states, in order to be a part of the Union, wanted to make sure that their slaves, they didn't regard the slaves with any good measure themselves, but they wanted the benefit of their representation for representatives in Congress. So the way they counted them in a census count was 3/5 of a white male. So anyway, the reason why I'm getting at that is the new Constitution doesn't have any of that language. Well, the way the Constitution works is you can't just eliminate language. For instance, the amendment that made alcohol illegal is still in our Constitution now, the corporate Constitution which we operate under. They didn't just eliminate it, they had a new constitutional amendment which overrode it. So both of those are in the Constitution. So that Constitution was initiated in 1871. In order to vote in that system, that corporate Constitution system, one needs to be a U.S. citizen. Well, the problem is U.S. citizens are regarded as persons. A person, if you look it up in a legal dictionary, is a corporation, which is a fictitious entity, which doesn't exist as a flesh and blood individual. This is a very important thing because flesh and blood individuals have inalienable rights unless they willingly give them up. And we willingly give them up when we say that we're U.S. citizens. When we register to vote, the first thing it asks, are you a U.S. citizen? When you say you're a U.S. citizen, that means you're a fictitious entity which has no inalienable rights. So when you have all these people protesting, they have given up their inalienable rights. The state can beat them down. It's permitted under that corporate war democracy that was founded in 1871 during Reconstruction. The original organic Constitution had provisions for inalienable rights. The only reason it was formed was to protect inalienable rights of white males. The reason why I'm bringing all this up is if you're voting for even the correct candidate, let's say that's Ron Paul, when you vote in that corporate election, by definition, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to register in their system. And by definition, you lose your inalienable rights. You give them up through contract because you're a person. A person is not a flesh and blood individual, such as myself. So understand how the New World Order will give you, whenever you think they're giving you something, like they're protecting you with the Patriot Act, they're enslaving you. That's how they do business. Over and over and over again. If there's a war, it's not for your freedom, it's for your enslavement. If they have any initiative whatsoever, it's not for what they tell you it is. People will, on the left, will always say, oh, we're not having a war for democracy, we're having a war for oil. That's the real reason. That means the state has an ulterior motive. Well, the ulterior motive that the state had for fighting slavery during the Civil War was to put all of us on the New World Order plantation, and the way they did that is they expanded the boundaries of the plantation. They said that there would be no longer any involuntary servitude. Well, it's written in there. If they were against slavery, they would say they would prohibit all servitude. Well, what they did is they eliminated involuntary servitude, and we volunteer for our servitude when we say that we are U.S. citizens. This stuff blows your mind, but that's how they did it. Their ulterior motive was to put us all on the New World Order plantation. The reason being is slaves who do not have chains are much more productive. Do you follow me here? Those who wrongly believe they're free are much more productive. So when they can tax you through the monetary system and steal the value of your labor, or just steal it through property and income taxes, you're much more productive because you don't see your chains. You're much more productive as an artist. How could you put chains on an artist and have them be productive? Like their spirit would be, all of their artistry would be about the slaves that are, the chains that are binding them. Whereas if you take all of those chains away and make people believe they're free with all the propaganda and movies and educational systems, etc., those slaves are taught to believe that they're free by becoming U.S. citizens, when in fact they then lose their inalienable rights. They are then subject to all the income and property taxes that are born out of the U.S. corporate war democracy that we've been operating under since 1871. So k-roc wants your vote, but I don't want your vote through the U.S. corporate war democracy. I just want your vote on the internet. I'm not sure how we're going to set that up, but I don't want you to give up your inalienable rights to vote for me. Do you get it? If you vote for Ron Paul, you, by admission, are a slave. I hope you get this. This is a very important topic that very few people talk about. k-roc, the truth hammer, 37% more truth than the other guys. Follow my videos on YouTube at the Truth Bomb 1 channel, and I'm on Facebook, so you can tell me how wrong I am whenever you want. Please get there, and I'll be glad to friend you. Let's have a debate about this. Come on, Ron Paul people, stand up for the Constitution. I think you're going to find that you're on the wrong side of this issue. Unfortunately, and I like Ron Paul, I agree with his ideas. The problem is the way the system is set up, it's meant to enslave you. Peace and wisdom.